When life hits you, it won't send a warning. It'll come like a punch you never saw coming: betrayal, failure, loss, pain. And in that moment, you'll either break or rise. I've seen men stronger than stone crumble when life got heavy, and I've seen the quiet ones, the ones no one noticed, stand like mountains. So what makes the difference? It's not luck. It's not talent. It's mindset. True strength isn't built in the gym. It's built in the silence of your struggle. It's built when you choose to keep going, even when every part of you wants to stop. You can't avoid pain, but you can decide what that pain makes you become. So, when life gets hard, remember this: the world doesn't get easier, you get stronger. 1. Control what's inside, not what's outside. When I was young, I used to spend so much of my time and energy trying to control everything around me: people, their opinions, how situations would unfold, and how others saw me. I wanted life to obey my expectations. But as I grew, life taught me a truth that changed everything. Control is an illusion. You can plan, prepare, and hope, but you can never force life to move your way. You can't stop the waves of reality from crashing, but you can learn how to surf them. Most people spend their whole lives trying to control the outside world, and that's why they stay exhausted and frustrated. They want others to understand them. They want every plan to go smoothly. They want no one to ever hurt them. But the truth is, you will never find peace by controlling what happens around you. Peace comes when you control what happens inside you. The moment you stop fighting the world outside and instead begin to master the world within, you start to see life differently. You become steady in the middle of chaos. The insults don't sting the same way. The failures don't break you like before, because now you're no longer reacting, you're observing. You're not letting life shake your center. You're learning to respond from a place of awareness, not emotion. When you focus your energy inward on your thoughts, your reactions, your breath, and your attention, you take back your power. The storm outside can never drown a mind that's calm inside. Think about that for a moment. When the sea is rough, the surface looks violent, but deep below, the water remains still. That's what inner strength feels like, a deep stillness beneath the noise of life. So ask yourself, what are you trying to control right now that's outside your reach? Someone's opinion of you? The mistakes of the past? The uncertainty of the future? Let it go. The more you try to control what's beyond your power, the more life controls you. But when you turn inward and focus on mastering your emotions, your patience, and your mindset, you become unshakable. Remember this truth: mastery doesn't begin with dominating others, it begins with mastering yourself. Control your reactions, control your energy, control the story you tell yourself every day. The world outside may be unpredictable, but when your inner world is stable, nothing can destroy your peace. You can't calm the storm, but you can calm yourself. And once you do, the storm passes on its own. 2. Pain is not your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. When I was younger, I used to see pain as something to run from. Whenever life hurt, I thought something was wrong. I thought pain was a punishment, a sign that I was failing or that life was being unfair. But over time, I realized something powerful: pain isn't there to destroy you. Pain is the mirror that shows you what still needs to be healed. It's not your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding pain. They run from failure, hide from rejection, and numb themselves when things get hard. But what they don't realize is that avoiding pain is the same as avoiding growth. The body grows stronger through resistance. Every muscle you build is torn and rebuilt. The same law applies to the mind and the spirit. Without challenge, there is no progress. Without discomfort, there is no evolution. When pain enters your life, it's not asking you to suffer. It's asking you to pay attention. Every painful situation, every heartbreak, every setback carries a message. It's telling you, something here needs to change. Maybe it's your mindset, maybe it's your habits, maybe it's your circle, but you can't learn the lesson if you keep running away from the experience. I remember times in my life when I was physically broken and people thought I had lost everything, but in that stillness, when I couldn't move, I realized that life was teaching me something I could never learn. Through victory, patience, humility, awareness, it taught me to turn inward, to discover who I really was when I had nothing to prove. That's when I truly understood. Pain introduces you to your deeper self. You see, strength doesn't come from the moments when everything is easy. Strength is born in those nights when you can't see the light, but you keep walking anyway. When the world goes silent and you still whisper to yourself, "I'll try again tomorrow." That's where real power begins. Pain strips away the unnecessary. It reveals your truth. It breaks your ego, your pride, your illusions, and leaves behind what's real. And yes, it hurts. Growth always does. But just as the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire, your soul is strengthened through trials. You're not breaking, you're transforming. So when life hurts, don't ask, "Why me?" Instead, ask, "What is this teaching me?" Every scar on your heart is proof that you faced something that tried to defeat you, and you still stood tall. That is not weakness, that is wisdom earned through fire. Pain will visit you many times in life, but every time it does, it will leave you with a gift: awareness, resilience, empathy, and strength. Don't fight it. Don't fear it. Let pain be your guide, not your prison. Because the truth is, the moments that hurt you the most are often the moments that shape you the most. When you embrace pain, you take away its power to control you. You stop being a victim of it and become a student of it. You realize that every challenge is an invitation to rise higher. Remember this: you don't grow in comfort, you grow in chaos. You don't evolve through ease, you evolve through endurance. So the next time you face hardship, don't curse the storm. Thank it. Because it's shaping you into someone the calm could never create. 3. Never react, always respond. When I was younger, I thought reacting fast made me strong. Someone insulted me, I fired back. A problem appeared, I rushed to fix it. A challenge came, I panicked and pushed harder. But over time, I realized that reaction is not strength, it's slavery to your emotions. True power is not in how quickly you move, but in how consciously you choose to act. The difference between a reaction and a response is the difference between chaos and control, between weakness and wisdom. You see, a reaction comes from emotion. It's the instinct to fight, defend, prove, or escape. It's the ego trying to protect itself. But a response comes from awareness. It's calm, measured, and deliberate. When you react, the world controls you. When you respond, you control yourself. And that's where true mastery begins. Think about it every day. Life gives you chances to react. Someone cuts you off in traffic, your plans fall apart, people disappoint you, someone misunderstands your words, and your mind immediately wants to fight back, to defend, to argue. But the moment you take that bait, you lose your peace. The situation now controls your mood. You've handed your inner power to something outside of you. When you train yourself to pause, even for a few seconds, you regain control. That small pause between what happens and how you respond is where your power lives. In that space, you can breathe, you can think, you can choose who you want to be in that moment. That's what separates warriors from wanderers: discipline in the pause. It's easy to react when you're angry. Anyone can do that. But it takes strength to stay still, to breathe, to understand before responding. When you react, you are ruled by emotion. When you respond, you are guided by wisdom. A person who can control their reaction can control their entire life. Imagine a lake on a windy day. The surface is rough, waves everywhere. That's what your mind looks like when you live in reaction. But when you calm your inner storm, the water becomes still, and now it reflects everything clearly. Only in stillness can you see reality as it is. If your emotions are always shaking, you will always misunderstand situations, people, and even yourself. I used to get angry quickly. I wanted to prove myself to the world. But later, I learned that a calm mind can win battles that strength alone never could. When someone insults you, silence is stronger than words. When life tests you, patience is stronger than frustration. When everything falls apart, awareness is stronger than panic. You don't have to fight every noise. Sometimes silence is your greatest defense. Reacting gives temporary satisfaction, but it creates long-term damage. Responding, on the other hand, creates lasting peace. A response means you've thought, reflected, and chosen consciously, not out of fear, not out of ego, but out of clarity. That's what real power feels like: quiet, steady, unshaken. So, the next time life pushes you, don't react instantly. Pause, breathe, observe. Ask yourself, what's the wisest move right now? Is this worth my energy? Will this matter in a week, in a month, in a year? Most of the time you'll realize it's not worth losing your peace. Remember this: reacting is natural, responding is spiritual. Reacting is what your body does, responding is what your mind chooses. The world is full of people who react. Few have the discipline to respond. Be one of those few. Train your awareness every day. Practice calmness like you practice strength. Because the one who can stay centered when the world tries to pull him apart, that's the one who's truly strong. Don't let emotions drive your life. Be the driver. Be the master of your energy, your mind, and your words. When you can stay calm under pressure, patient in chaos, and kind in conflict, you've already achieved a level of power that most people never will. That is the art of response. That is the path of mastery. 4. Adapt like water. There was a time when I used to think strength meant standing firm, never bending, never changing. I believed that to be powerful meant to hold my ground, no matter what. But life showed me something different. Rigidity breaks under pressure, while flexibility survives. The tree that refuses to bend will snap in the storm, but the reed that sways will rise again after the wind passes. That's when I truly understood the essence of what I always said: be water, my friend. Water is formless. It has no shape of its own, yet it takes the shape of whatever holds it. Pour it into a cup, it becomes the cup. Pour it into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. Spill it on the ground, and it flows freely. It adjusts, it transforms, but it never loses itself. It is powerful because it adapts. It doesn't resist, yet it conquers everything it touches. Over time, even the hardest rock yields to the patience of flowing water. That is the way of true strength, the strength that adapts without losing its essence. In life, change is the only constant. People come and go, circumstances shift, plans collapse, and the more you fight these changes, the more you suffer. Most people resist change because it threatens their sense of control. They cling to how things used to be and fight what is. But resistance only multiplies pain. The more you try to force life to match your expectations, the more it slips through your fingers like water. When you learn to flow with life instead of fighting against it, you stop drowning. You start moving in harmony with reality. That doesn't mean you become passive. It means you become wise. You stop wasting your energy on what you cannot change and instead focus on adjusting to what is in front of you. Adaptation isn't weakness, it's intelligence. It means you have the awareness to recognize what the moment demands and the courage to become what's needed. Think about water again. It can crash or it can flow. It can be soft or it can be powerful. It doesn't always fight head-on. Sometimes it moves silently around obstacles, finding new paths. That's how you must move in life. There will be moments when you must stand tall, and others when you must bow low. There will be times when pushing forward works, and times when stepping back is the wiser move. Strength is knowing the difference. Many people mistake stubbornness for strength. They refuse to change their opinions, their methods, their ways of thinking, and they call that loyalty or consistency. But in truth, it's fear disguised as pride. The strong are not the ones who never change. They are the ones who can change without losing themselves. They know how to adjust their form while keeping their essence intact. If you pour water into a sharp-edged bowl, it fills the corners perfectly. If you pour it into a cracked vessel, it still finds balance. Life will throw you into imperfect, unpredictable situations. Don't expect perfection. Learn to flow through imperfection with grace. The moment you accept that things may never go exactly as planned, you unlock peace. Because now, instead of fighting what is, you're learning how to move with it. There's a deeper lesson in water's silence too. Water doesn't argue with the rock, it simply flows around it. It doesn't shout, it doesn't resist, it doesn't complain. And yet, over time, the rock changes shape. That's the quiet power of patience and persistence. You don't have to fight everything loudly. You can win gently. You can let time, faith, and adaptability do the work that aggression never could. In relationships, in careers, in dreams, those who can adapt will always survive. Because life is unpredictable. The path you thought you'd take may suddenly disappear. The person you trusted might leave. The dream you built may crumble. But if you are like water, you won't break. You'll find a new way to flow. You'll shift direction, find another channel, and keep moving. Because you understand that your power lies not in the path, but in the flow itself. Adapting doesn't mean surrendering your values. It means expressing them in different ways. It's about maintaining your truth while moving through change with wisdom. Water is humble enough to take any form, but strong enough to wear down mountains. It doesn't need recognition. It simply moves, quietly shaping the world. So, when life changes, and it will, don't freeze, don't resist, don't panic, just breathe, observe, and adjust. If one plan fails, create another. If one door closes, find a window. If someone leaves, let them go and allow new energy to enter your life. Flow with reality. Because when you flow, life flows with you. Remember, to be unbreakable, you must be adaptable. The person who can move with life instead of against it cannot be defeated. The one who learns to bend will never break. Be like water, calm but powerful, patient but unstoppable, soft but unyielding in spirit. Flow through every change, every challenge, every obstacle, with the confidence that you are capable of becoming whatever the moment requires. Because in the end, the most powerful force in the world isn't the one that resists, it's the one that adapts. Be water, my friend, and you'll never be conquered. 5. Discipline over emotion. When I was younger, I used to wait for motivation. I thought strength came from how I felt. If I felt inspired, I trained. If I felt tired, I rested. If I felt frustrated, I stopped. But life taught me something that changed everything. Your emotions are temporary, but your discipline decides your destiny. Discipline means doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Most people never cross that bridge because they wait for the perfect mood, the perfect day, the perfect moment. But perfection never comes. You can't build your life around feelings, you must build it around focus. Emotions are like the weather, they change daily, hourly, even by the minute. But discipline is the ground beneath it, solid, steady, unshaken. When you live by emotion, You are a slave to circumstance. If life feels good, you move forward. If it feels hard, you stop. That's why so many people start strong but never finish. They think they lack motivation, but what they truly lack is discipline. Motivation starts you. Discipline keeps you. And if you want to become strong in any situation, you must choose discipline over mood every single time. Discipline is what separates the great from the average. It's what turns desire into achievement. It's not about doing extraordinary things. It's about doing ordinary things consistently with extraordinary focus. A warrior doesn't train only when he feels strong. He trains when he's tired, when he's hurt, when he's uninspired, because he knows that every repetition in the dark prepares him for the moment of light. When I trained, there were days my body screamed to stop, days my mind whispered, "Rest, you've done enough." But I learned to recognize that voice. It wasn't wisdom, it was weakness disguised as comfort. The body always seeks ease, the mind always looks for shortcuts, but the soul seeks mastery. And mastery is only born when you push beyond what's comfortable. Most people think discipline is about punishment, about forcing yourself to do things you hate. But that's not true. Real discipline is an act of love, love for your future self. When you train today, when you stay focused, when you say no to distraction, you're showing love to the person you will become tomorrow. That's not punishment, that's commitment. Let me tell you something. If you only work when you're motivated, you will never accomplish anything meaningful. Motivation is the spark, but discipline is the flame that keeps burning when the excitement dies out. It's easy to start. It's hard to continue. The path of mastery belongs to those who continue. Discipline is not glamorous. It's silent, repetitive, often unseen. It's waking up when others are sleeping. It's choosing practice over pleasure, growth over comfort, and purpose over distraction. There will be moments when you'll feel no progress, when the results seem invisible. But those invisible days are building your foundation. Every small act of discipline, every workout, every meditation, every page read, every time you say no to laziness, is stacking invisible bricks toward your future strength. You won't notice it day by day, but one morning you'll wake up and realize you've become unrecognizable. You've built a version of yourself that even your old self would envy. And that transformation doesn't come from emotion, it comes from habit. Emotions fluctuate, habits solidify. So instead of saying, "I don't feel like it," start saying, "I'll do it anyway." Every time you override that feeling, you train your mind to obey your will, not your emotions. That's what separates those who dream from those who do. Think about it this way: the disciplined person still feels fear, doubt, and laziness. The difference is they don't bow to them. They acknowledge the emotion, but they move anyway. That's real strength, not the absence of weakness, but the refusal to surrender to it. Discipline is freedom. It gives you control over yourself in a world that constantly tries to pull you away from focus. When you live by emotion, you're like a leaf blown by the wind, one day up, one day down, never steady. But when you live by discipline, you become like a mountain. The weather changes, storms come and go, but you remain unmoved. Every legend, every master, every warrior who ever achieved greatness did so not because they were the most talented, but because they were the most disciplined. Talent is a gift. Discipline is a choice. And the beautiful thing about discipline is that anyone can develop it. You don't need to be born strong. You become strong through consistency. So the next time your emotions try to control you, when laziness whispers, when doubt speaks, when fear shouts, don't argue with them. Don't try to feel better. Just act. Move forward. Take the step. Do the work. Let your actions create your emotions, not the other way around. Remember this truth. Your emotions are guests. Discipline is your home. Guests come and go, but your home remains. Build your home strong, steady, and sacred with habits that align with your purpose. Because in the end, the person who conquers his emotions conquers the world. Don't live by how you feel. Live by what you decide. That is the path of mastery. That is the essence of strength. And that is how you become unshakable. 6. Detach from outcomes. Focus on effort. When I was younger, I believed that success meant winning every battle, achieving every goal, and proving myself to the world. I chased outcomes like a shadow trophies, recognition, results. But the more I chased, the more peace slipped away from me. I learned through years of struggle that true mastery is not about controlling the outcome. It's about mastering the effort. You can't always control whether you win or lose, but you can always control how you show up. Life is unpredictable. You may give everything and still fail. You may love deeply and still lose. You may do everything right and still not get the result you hoped for. But if your peace depends on outcomes, you'll live a life of constant anxiety and disappointment. Because outcomes are not in your hands, only effort is. The rain doesn't always fall where the farmer plants his seeds, but he still plants them with faith. Why? Because he understands that his duty is to plant, not to control the clouds. When you detach from outcomes, you free yourself from fear. Fear always comes from attachment, the fear of not getting what you want or losing what you have. But when your focus shifts to the effort itself, you start to enjoy the process. You become present. You become powerful. The moment you stop asking, "Will this work?" and start asking, "How can I give my best today?" your entire energy changes. You're no longer chasing life, you're flowing with it. There was a time I would train for perfection. I wanted every kick, every movement, every motion to be flawless. But perfection doesn't exist. The pursuit of perfection creates frustration because it makes you focus on what's missing instead of what's improving. Once I stopped chasing perfect and started chasing presence, everything changed. My movement became natural, my flow became effortless. I wasn't performing to win, I was expressing myself through the art. That's when I understood that the process is the reward. Most people live trapped in a constant loop of what ifs. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if I don't reach my goal? Is it? But every what if pulls you out of the present moment, the only place where real power exists. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you give your best and let go of the rest. It means trusting that life will unfold as it should, and knowing that no effort made with sincerity ever goes to waste. Even when the result isn't what you expected, the growth you gain is priceless. Think about this. When an archer pulls the bowstring, his focus must be on his form, his breath, his posture, his release. If his mind is fixed only on the target, he loses control of the moment. The arrow may never fly true because his focus was misplaced. The target doesn't define the archer. The discipline of his practice does. Life works the same way. Your target, your dreams, your goals are only directions. What defines you is how you walk toward them. Detachment is freedom from the illusion of control. You can control your thoughts, your discipline, your effort, your integrity, but you cannot control the timing, the reactions of others, or the unseen forces that shape outcomes. The moment you accept that truth, you find peace in uncertainty. You start to play the long game. You understand that every step, even the ones that seem like detours, is leading you somewhere meaningful. In my own journey, there were moments when things didn't go my way, opportunities lost, plans broken, dreams delayed. But every one of those so-called setbacks carried a hidden gift. Detachment helped me see that life wasn't punishing me. It was redirecting me. When you're too attached to one path, you close yourself off from the infinite possibilities life has to offer. But when you let go, you open yourself to something greater than your plans. You open yourself to purpose. When you focus too much on outcomes, your happiness becomes conditional. You say, "I'll be happy when I achieve this, when I win that, when they finally understand me." But that's a trap, because the moment you reach that outcome, another desire appears. You're never at peace because your joy depends on the future. Peace begins when you find joy in the doing, not in the result. Detach doesn't mean you stop striving. It means you strive without anxiety. You still work hard, train hard, love deeply, but you do it from a place of peace, not desperation. You understand that success is not what you get, it's who you become. Every time you give your full effort, regardless of the outcome, you grow. You strengthen your character. You refine your mind. You become more grounded, more aware, more alive. In battle, the fighter who fears losing is already halfway defeated. But the fighter who fights simply for the art, who is present in every strike, in every breath, becomes unstoppable. Why? Because he's not distracted by fear or greed. He's simply immersed in the flow of the moment. Detachment gives you that clarity. It allows you to give your all without being consumed by the result. That is true power, the power to stay calm in chaos and steady in uncertainty. So, whatever you do, train, build, love, create, give it your all, pour your heart into it. But once you've done your part, release it. Don't hold on to expectations. Don't overthink outcomes. The universe moves in ways you cannot predict. Trust it. Know that every sincere effort plants a seed that will bloom at the right time. Your job is to keep planting, keep growing, keep moving. Remember this: you are not defined by what happens to you. You are defined by how you respond and what you give. Results may come or go, but the strength you build through consistent effort stays forever. Detach from the need to win. Detach from the fear of losing. Focus on your path, your growth, your inner alignment. When your peace no longer depends on what happens outside, you become unshakable. You become like a calm lake that reflects the truth of the sky, still, pure, untouched by the storm. Do your work with love, with patience, with intention, and then let it go. Because in the end, the outcome was never yours to control. What's yours is the effort, the discipline, and the peace that comes from knowing you gave your best. And that, my friend, is the essence of freedom. Detach from outcomes, focus on effort, live in peace, move with purpose. That is how you become truly strong in every situation, no matter the result. 7. Keep the fire of belief alive. There were moments in my life when everything seemed to fall apart, when nothing worked, when the path was unclear, when even my own mind began to whisper, "Maybe this isn't meant for you." In those moments, I realized something. The world will test you not when you are weak, but when you are close to becoming something greater. And what determines whether you rise or fall in those moments isn't your strength, your skill, or your luck. It's your belief. Belief is the invisible fire that burns inside you when everything outside of you goes dark. It's the quiet voice that says, "Keep going," when every part of you wants to quit. You can lose money, friends, health, and direction, but if you keep belief, you can rebuild everything. Lose belief, and even the strongest body collapses under the weight of doubt. The mind is the first battlefield, and belief is the weapon that wins it. When people talk about belief, they often make it sound like a blind fantasy, a form of pretending everything is fine. But real belief is not pretending. Real belief is the decision to hold faith, even when reality gives you every reason not to. It's the choice to trust your inner knowing more than your outer circumstances. Because belief isn't built in comfort, it's forged in uncertainty. You only learn its power when the light goes out. There were times when I trained alone, when no one believed in what I was doing, when my goals seemed impossible. The world saw the victories, the precision, the speed, But they didn't see the nights of doubt, the sweat that carried no applause, the loneliness of chasing a vision that no one else could see. It was belief that kept me moving forward, belief that my path had meaning, that my effort had purpose, that there was something in me stronger than failure. You see, belief is not just thinking you can do it. It's knowing deep inside that even if you fail, you'll find a way to rise again. It's that inner conviction that says, I don't know how yet, but I will. Life responds to that kind of energy. When you hold belief with every cell of your being, the universe starts moving things in your favor. You attract opportunities, people, and moments that align with your faith. Not because of magic, but because belief changes how you move. It changes how you see, how you act, how you persist. Doubt is natural, everyone feels it, but it's what you do when doubt appears that defines you. Some people let doubt extinguish their flame, others use it as fuel. When doubt whispers, "You can't," belief answers, "Watch me." And that's when transformation begins. Because every time you believe in yourself despite the noise, you strengthen that invisible muscle inside the muscle of faith. Belief gives birth to resilience. It keeps you grounded when life shakes you. It reminds you that you are not defined by what happens to you, but by what you choose to become after it. You can break physically, but if your spirit remains unbroken, you can rise again, stronger, wiser, sharper. A single spark of belief can reignite a soul that has been in darkness for years. Remember, life will not hand you proof before you believe. It asks you to believe first. Proof comes after. The seed must be planted before the tree can grow. But many people wait to believe until they see results, and that's why they stay stuck. They say, "I'll believe when it works." But it works because you believe. Every great thing that has ever been created, every invention, every art, every act of greatness began as belief in one person's mind. The world called it madness until it became reality. When you keep belief alive, even in your darkest season, you become dangerous to failure. Because now, life cannot break you, it can only shape you. Even when you fall, you rise with more clarity. Even when you lose, you learn faster. Belief gives meaning to pain and direction to chaos. Without it, everything feels empty. With it, even your scars become symbols of growth. Belief is also a responsibility. You must protect it like a sacred flame. The world will try to put it out with criticism, with doubt, with delay. People who gave up on their dreams will try to convince you to give up on yours. Don't let them. Surround yourself with those who see your light, not those who try to dim it. Remember, your belief doesn't need everyone's approval, it only needs your consistency. And don't confuse belief with arrogance. Arrogance says, "I can't fail." Belief says, "Even if I fail, I'll rise." Arrogance is rooted in ego. Belief is rooted in faith. One is loud and fragile, the other is quiet and unbreakable. Keep your belief humble, but powerful. Speak less, work more. Let your results make the noise. Sometimes belief won't feel like a blazing fire. Sometimes it's just a small candle barely flickering in the wind. That's okay. What matters is that you protect that flame. Feed it daily with action, patience, and gratitude. Each day you stay consistent, that flame grows stronger. And one day, it becomes a fire bright enough to light your path and warm the hearts of others around you. So, when life tests you, when the doors close, when the people you trusted leave, when your strength begins to fade, remember, you've been here before. You've faced storms and survived. You've fallen and stood again. That means the fire is still in you. Don't let anyone or anything convince you otherwise. Hold your belief close when everything else falls away. When you can't see the finish line, trust your steps. When you can't feel progress, trust your process. When you can't hear encouragement, listen to your heartbeat. It's proof that life is still giving you another chance. You don't need to have everything figured out to keep going. You just need to believe that every small step, every tiny effort, every quiet act of persistence is leading you somewhere greater. The road is long, but those who keep walking with faith, with belief, with an unshakable inner flame always reach the destination meant for them. Remember this truth: the world doesn't belong to the smartest, the strongest, or the luckiest. It belongs to those who refuse to stop believing. No matter how dark the night gets, keep the fire burning. Protect it, feed it, nurture it. Because that fire, your belief, is what will light your way through every storm and lead you to the strength that cannot be broken. Keep believing when no one does. Keep walking when no one sees. Keep going when no one claps. Because your belief in yourself is your greatest weapon and your unbreakable light. 8. The power of stillness. Master calm in the chaos. When I was young, I thought power meant speed, to move fast, to strike fast, to think fast. The world around me was loud, always rushing, always chasing something. I believed I had to match that pace to survive. But as I grew, I began to see a deeper truth. Real strength isn't found in motion, it's found in stillness. The calm mind sees what the restless one misses. The still spirit understands what the noisy world forgets. Stillness is not weakness. It is the highest form of mastery, because only a strong mind can stay calm when everything around it is falling apart. Anyone can remain composed when life is smooth, but true discipline is when you can stay centered in the middle of a storm. The one who can stand still while chaos swirls, that's the one who has control. Life will constantly throw noise at you: problems, opinions, deadlines, emotions, fears. If you let all of that enter your mind unchecked, you'll drown in it. The human mind is like water. When it's still, it reflects everything clearly, but when it's disturbed, it distorts reality. That's why people suffer, not because of the situation itself, but because of the storm they allow inside their heads. I learned that stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing everything with awareness. It's not about escaping the world. It's about mastering yourself within the world. You can be moving fast but remain calm inside. You can fight battles and still carry peace in your heart. That is true power: to act without losing balance, to move without losing peace. The world teaches you to react, to rush, to achieve, but it never teaches you to pause. Yet, the pause is where wisdom lives. The pause between the inhale and exhale. The pause before you speak. The pause before you act. That tiny moment of stillness is where your awareness awakens. It's where emotion turns into understanding and chaos turns into clarity. When you master stillness, you stop being controlled by everything around you. The noise may continue, but it no longer enters you. The insults don't sting, the failures don't shake you, the future doesn't scare you, because you've built a space inside yourself where nothing external can touch you. That is the sanctuary of the mind, and every warrior must build it. Think about water again. When it flows too fast, it becomes muddy, turbulent, unclear. But when it settles, you can see straight to the bottom. That's how your mind works too. When you stop chasing thoughts, outcomes, fears, and distractions, everything becomes clear. You begin to see life for what it really is, not through the lens of emotion, but through the calm awareness of truth. There was a time I used to fight everything: challenges, people, situations. I thought I was showing strength, but one day I realized I wasn't fighting life. I was fighting myself. The harder I resisted, the more drained I became. But the moment I stopped resisting and allowed myself to simply be, I discovered a peace I had never known. Stillness showed me that peace isn't found after the storm. Peace is found when you stop letting the storm live inside you. The most dangerous opponent is not the one who moves fast, but the one who moves with calm precision, the one who acts only when needed, who wastes no energy, who knows the rhythm of silence. That's why stillness is not emptiness, it's control. Every great fighter, every great thinker, every great leader mastered stillness before they mastered the world. Because only a calm mind can make clear decisions. Only a centered spirit can hold power without corruption. But here's what most people don't understand. Stillness must be practiced. You won't find it by accident. You must train it like a muscle. You train it by sitting in silence when your mind screams for distraction. You train it by listening when you want to argue. You train it by breathing deeply when emotions want to explode. Each time you choose stillness over reaction, you build inner power. Modern life makes stillness rare. Everywhere you go, there's noise, screens flashing, people talking, opinions flying. The mind is constantly pulled outward, but if you never turn inward, you'll never know yourself. And if you don't know yourself, no amount of success, fame, or strength will satisfy you. You'll always feel empty, because your peace will depend on things outside of you, things you can never fully control. To master stillness, you must learn the art of letting go of unnecessary thoughts, of old pain, of endless comparisons. You must create moments in your day where you disconnect from the noise and reconnect with your breath. Just breathing consciously for a few minutes can reset your entire nervous system. It reminds you that you are alive, present, and in control of your inner world. Stillness also teaches humility. It reminds you that you are not separate from life, you are part of it. The same energy that moves the wind and waves also flows through you. When you quiet your mind, you begin to feel that connection. You realize that strength isn't about dominating life, it's about moving in harmony with it. The calm mind doesn't force, it flows. It doesn't demand, it observes. It doesn't react, it responds with clarity and wisdom. When you master the power of stillness, people will wonder how you stay so composed. They'll ask how you remain calm when everything seems to be falling apart. The answer is simple. You've learned to control what truly matters, your mind. You no longer give your peace away so easily. You understand that life will never stop throwing storms at you, but you can stop letting them define you. Remember this truth. The most powerful person in any room is not the one who shouts the loudest, but the one who sits in silence and sees everything. That kind of presence can't be faked. It can't be rushed. It can only be earned through practice, patience, and awareness. So when the world becomes loud, when your mind becomes restless, when chaos begins to rise, do not add to the noise. Step back, breathe, observe, become still. Because in stillness, you remember your true power. You remember that storms come and go, but the sky remains. The calm within you is not weakness, it is your greatest weapon. It allows you to move through life with balance, to think clearly under pressure, to remain peaceful even in pain. It is not the fire that burns you, but the water that cools you, the breath that centers you, the silence that restores you. Be still and know your power. Be calm and you will conquer chaos. Be silent and you will hear the truth. Because in stillness, you don't escape life, you master it. When you walk through life, you will face storms, not once, but many times. There will be moments when the people you trusted will leave, when your plans will collapse, when your body will feel weak, and when your heart will whisper, "I can't do this anymore." But those moments, those very moments you wish would end, are the moments that will forge you. Because strength is never born in comfort, it's born in fire. Everything we've talked about, controlling what's inside, learning from pain, responding instead of reacting, adapting like water, choosing discipline over emotion, detaching from outcomes, keeping belief alive, and mastering stillness, these are not just lessons. They are ways of life. They are the armor of the mind and the soul. When you live by these rules, you don't just survive life, you rise above it. You stop being a victim of what happens and become the creator of how you respond. The world will never stop testing you. There will always be noise, doubt, fear, and temptation. But the warrior's strength lies not in escaping challenges. It lies in meeting them with grace, clarity, and calm. You will not always have control over what happens to you, but you will always have control over who you become through it. That is your power, the power that no one can take away from you. Every scar you carry tells a story. Every failure has carved wisdom into your being. Every time you fell and rose again, you became stronger, wiser, and more unshakable. So stop wishing for an easy life. Wish for the strength to handle a difficult one, because easy lives don't build warriors. Easy roads don't lead to greatness. It's the difficult days, the silent nights, the unseen battles within that mold you into who you're meant to be. Remember, strength isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need validation. True strength is quiet, like the mountain that stands tall through the storm, like the ocean that calms after the wave, like the warrior who smiles even when he's tired, because he knows his soul is unbroken. When life hits you hard, don't ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What is this teaching me?" Don't run from discomfort, embrace it. Don't hide from pain, learn from it. Don't chase control, master your reaction. Every challenge is a mirror showing you the strength you didn't know you had. You are not weak for feeling pain. You are not lost for feeling doubt. You are human, and that humanity is your strength. What matters is that you keep going, step by step, breath by breath, with focus, with faith, with stillness in your heart and fire in your soul. Life will test your patience, your resilience, and your faith. But every test has one purpose: to awaken the warrior within you, to show you that you are stronger than you think, wiser than you realize, and more capable than you can imagine. So, when you stand before the storms of life, stand tall. Be calm like still water. Be firm like unshakable ground. Be adaptable like the wind. Be patient like time itself. And remember, no situation can break you unless you give it permission to. True strength is not about fighting harder, it's about fighting smarter, feeling deeper, and standing taller. It's about being unbreakable, not because you never fall, but because you always rise. Become strong in every situation, not by building walls, but by mastering your mind. Not by avoiding pain, but by transforming it. Not by controlling life, but by flowing with it. Be the calm in the storm, the silence in the noise, the peace in the chaos. Because once you master yourself, no one and nothing can ever master you again. That is the way of the warrior. That is the way of strength. That is the way of life.